Okay, now, first of all, did you hear what I was talking about in the first... I mean, you weren't here for the first interview on the Koenig case either. Did you hear what I said when I was told that this agreement was not really that relevant, and that was at the time that I agreed to come in and give a second interview on the Koenig case and gave them all the details that they would need for this case. And I mean, did you hear what I said?
Just now?
Did you hear? Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand that I feel that I was lied to?
I hear you, and obviously I wasn't there for those conversations.
Right. No, you weren't there, and so that's why I'm a little upset about this right now, because it seems to me that this has been the issue. If this, and it makes sense to me that this could be the issue. I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand the ins and outs, but I do see her signature, United States Attorney, on this paper. And it makes sense to me from my non-legal mind that they cannot go to CCU and endorse for the death penalty if her signature is on a piece of paper saying that they won't. I mean, am I wrong or right in that?
No, I appreciate that, Israel. What I'm asking is whether the government reads it the same way, and have they done that? I think that's a simple question we can ask the government, whether they have, to answer your question, whether this is a...
Well, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask... fellas, a question. Is this paper a reason? What is that? Where does this fall into your philosophy on when to talk to Capital Crimes Unit about my case? When to schedule the interview? How much has this had to do with that?
Let me define this as the March 30th letter of Israel, 2012. Right. And it's agreement signed by yourself, Rich Kurtner, and the U.S. Attorney, Karen Loeffler. And it says, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Alaska understands that your client, Israel Keys, is prepared to confess and plead guilty to the crime of kidnapping causing the death of Samantha Koenig in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1201A1. And he has further agreed to disclose his knowledge of the whereabouts of the body. In return, the United States Attorney for the District of Alaska agrees to advocate that the Department of Justice not seek the death penalty in this case.
And he's followed up with
his... What we're asking, Kevin, is have you done that?
Let me answer Israel here. So, Israel, we've told Mr. Kurtner that this agreement, as it stands, that he's told us he still wants this agreement, and we've said we will be bound by this. If Mr. Kurtner tells us, or if you tell us, after consulting with him, that you don't want this agreement, then we can communicate that to Capital Crimes. So right now, we've communicated with them about everything, and we're moving forward. But they need to know, what is the recommendation of the United States Attorney?
So aside from that from your recommendation, that's what they're waiting on, is what
they need to know. Our recommendation, that is a critical.
So that is. So are you saying this? They don't have a copy of this?
No, they know about this.
They know about this, but okay.
But they don't have the U.S. Attorney's recommendation one way or another yet.
The U.S. Attorney, Karen?
Yep. Right now, under this agreement, the only thing that we will say to them is that we are advocating. We will not advocate for the death penalty. She will live up to this agreement until and unless, if you want to, after consultation with counsel, making an informed decision about what you want to do.
Right. Okay.
And that is your choice, one we will not interfere with.
Right. No,
but you have to make it.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. I'm a little bit annoyed that they even got a copy of this letter in the first place. But
Israel, they don't have a copy of the letter, but you understand that we are bound by this letter unless.
No, I understand you're bound now. I was just my concern is that if they have it now and then, or if you've made a recommendation now and then you try to change it, then
Israel, we haven't made a recommendation. We have to go through the process.
All right.
Okay, but we need to know, and I think part of the reason maybe you requested this meeting was to find out where does everybody stand on this.
Exactly.
So we're all here.
But we don't want to discuss negotiations on this thing. I mean, he wants to know
not a negotiation.
Where are you in the process, and how long is it going to take?
It can be as slow or quick as everybody in this room wants to make it.
I mean, it's a real concern here, and this is Frank, that we have to look at that. Whether or not you want that agreement, Rich, it's obviously Israel gets to make the decision, or whether Jackie or Mark wants it, it's not your choice. It's obviously up to him. So we don't know where we are in this letter, and if we don't know where we are in this letter, we can't complete the package to Capital Crimes and give them the whole picture.
No, I want to go on record right now that I do not want this letter on the table. I want this letter declared null and void. And honestly, if I had known it was going to turn into this big of an issue, I never would have put my signature on it. I did not want to put my signature on it in the first place. My agenda has not changed from the first interview I gave on this case, and it's certainly not changed now. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this meeting. So I don't, I'm not concerned that, we need to have more discussions or negotiations about it, because frankly, I thought that this was a settled matter, and obviously it wasn't. So now it is. So that's it. Let's take it off the table. Let's do whatever needs to be done. I don't know. What do I have to do?
I mean, that's up to you and Mr. Kirk.
Yeah, let us discuss this, all right? I mean, somebody's not going to come to their first court appearance and say, I want to plead guilty before I even investigate the case. He hasn't even looked at the discovery. We can discuss this, Israel. Not right now. What can you sign now? Let's you and I talk about it, all right, before we do anything else.
Right. Well, okay, no, one question, though, on this. It says plead guilty.
You're prepared to plead guilty. You are prepared.
No, I already signed it, but I mean, if they get this letter and it says plead guilty, that doesn't mean I'm publicly pleading guilty already, right?
No.
Okay,
Look,
that's my only concern.
This is your.
I want it to come out when I want it to come out.
You have rights, and your attorneys can advise you of what your rights are. You have choices that you need to make. If you don't want this, you don't have to follow through. If you want it, we will live up to it.
I'll come over and talk to you about it, right?
But
Israel?
So we need to know from you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to him about it and we'll get back to you.
All right, so what, is there something you need to draft up that, how do we get it reversed? Or, because I already signed that one. What do I have to sign?
Israel, I don't think anything, this is Jackie. Israel, I don't think anything needs to be done at this time. You and I are going to get an opportunity to talk a lot.
We're talking right now.
Tomorrow. So you and I can talk about what the next steps are.
You're not allowed to have
But I don't
plans.
think anything needs to be done right now. The only thing we need is to get an answer from CCU and the Attorney General. That's it.
Jackie, this is Israel. You cannot get an answer. They're not going to give me the answer I want unless they have the information that I want them to have. If they have information that I don't want them to have, then obviously I'm not going to get the results I want, regardless of. Once they have that, it's out of my hands, and then just whatever happens.
You have given
I'm not
them everything they need.
Yeah,
to make
except
a decision.
that I gave. No, that's not. No, that is off the table.
Okay.
Right, and they can take
That is off the table.
right now.
It's
you
off.
can tell CCU exactly your position that you just told them. There's nothing preventing them from doing that.
Good. They got a recording of it. I don't have to sign anything.
So Israel, just so I'm clear, your position is that you want the United States Attorney for the District of Alaska to recommend the death penalty in the cloning prosecution.
Yes, and this is not the first time you have a recording of that. You have a recording of that from, I believe it was the first interview we did when I started talking about other crimes. I said I will give you some additional crimes if that's what it's going to take to get what I want. And then shortly after that interview, the determination was made by the judge that I could no longer talk to you about the Coney case, and ever since then we haven't been able to discuss it. But that was part of the original agreement. It's on recording of me talking to you about those other crimes. That was part of my philosophy in for getting what I want. I thought it would help.
Okay, what should we tell them about your intent to plead guilty or not?
You know,
I still
Rich, we can address that with Israel. We can do that very quickly, Israel, if that's what you wish to do. But I think that's better suited for all of us, for you, me, Rich, and Jackie to talk about. We don't need to talk about it with the government.
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't. The government already knows I'm going to plead guilty. It's not like it's some big secret. All I care about is that the only thing I care about as far as the guilty plea is determined is when it is released, when it is made public knowledge. As far as who sits in these rooms and who is in on these interviews, everyone who has been on them from the very beginning knows that I'm guilty and knows what my plea was going to be, and I've made there's been no secret about it. So there doesn't need to be a secret meeting or a secret consultation to make that determination.
We would like to discuss though with you about the publicity of it.
That's fine. Look, I don't know how. I've already said I don't know how the legal system works. That is one thing I don't want. I don't want to be blindsided by something on the news saying suddenly, oh, Israel signed something, or there was an interview saying he's going to plead guilty. I want to have the say so when that comes out, and I want it to come out when, as close to whenever the sentencing phase can take place. Obviously, the sentencing cannot take place yet because CCU hasn't even made their determination. So I don't want my guilty plea to come out until they've taken whatever steps they need to take. You know, I want that portion of it to be. I don't want to be around. I don't want this dragging on for months and months, waiting for word back from them. I want it to come out when I want it to come out, as far as my guilty plea. But ultimately, everybody here, like I already said, knows that that's what the end result's going to be. It doesn't matter, you know, whether my attorneys agree with it or not, because, or, you know, even if I change my mind at this point, all that's irrelevant, because, you know, I've known from the beginning. You know, once I saw the evidence, that's been the intent the entire time. It's not you know, guilty plea.